So President Trump saves America, and they're literally obsessed with this guy. This guy. This is not why I voted for President Trump, to find out what was going on with Epstein. I've always been kind of vaguely interested, right? But I don't know. Yeah, I read the news as it came in. Now that I've gone a little bit deeper, I am convinced that this whole damn thing was a scam and a hoax. President Trump is right to trip up his first administration and create this kind of seeming mayhem among the fake news right now. But we're going to put it aside, because these are the things that I did vote for when I voted for President Trump. Securing the border. If we didn't have a border, we would not have a country. You heard about the comparisons year over year. Zero illegal entries last year at the border. Zero this year compared to 100,000. I think that was in June. It's off the charts better now than it was back then. I must say I didn't vote about DOGE, government efficiency, but that was a nice little surprise. And it worked out very well. I know about the Elon Musk stuff. That's okay. Policy differences are fine. Women in sports, protecting women and girls and not having transgender men ruin it. That was one of the things that I voted for. Absolutely. And overall, the war on woke. Yeah, somebody had to put an end to it. And yeah, we had some pretty interesting podcasts and some pretty interesting Twitter accounts taking it on. But nobody can do it like him. And from the top down, it's a beautiful thing. This is some of the stuff I voted for. I also like peace. And I voted for President Trump in part because he's not a pro-war kind of guy. He already ended several wars, including the India-Pakistan thing, Rwanda and Congo. Did you know they were going at it? Also this, ending the war between Iran and Israel. Of course, we helped with that one a little bit. And peace is finally on the agenda in Ukraine, everybody, in, 3.5 years? And also Israel and Hamas. That was just going on and on and on, and it looks like you can see light at the end of the tunnel. I think that's fantastic. Here's something else I voted for, and I'm so happy he did it. Pardoning the January 6ers, who were so unfairly and over-prosecuted and persecuted, and they tried to cancel an entire political movement, and they used these people as pawns, and it's just, he didn't have to do that, but he did it, and it's awesome. I also really like MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you watch Robert F. Kennedy's speech where he endorsed President Trump last summer, and it just might change your approach to nutrition and give you some very interesting things to think about regarding some of the medications that pharmaceutical companies seem so intent on serving up. He has done this and so much more, and his approval rating has at times surged above 50%. That is a lot of accomplishment and a lot of sacrifice to get to this point, right? What he went through for us, the courtroom stuff, the phony prosecutions. He was arrested. He complied with the law because that's who he is, but this is all fake nonsense, harassment, and he put up with it and he won. Of course, they tried to kill him, right? And I know some of my friends in MAGA, well, my friends in MAGA are not abandoning Trump, but some of my allies, you know, they're just, I don't like the way they're talking. I just don't. Now, it's fine to have policy differences, of course, right? We're going to have those from time to time. But the big picture, President Trump did save America. And here's Elon Musk. Now, I know they've had some policy differences, apparently, about the big, beautiful bill. And that's going to happen. That's part of life. But we would not have had a country had President Trump not prevailed. And Elon Musk, I don't think he regrets anything. I don't think he regrets DOGE or the big, beautiful bill. That pales in comparison to what would have happened if President Trump lost.
And free speech is the bedrock of democracy. And if people don't know what's going on, if they don't know the truth, how can you make an informed vote? You must have free speech in order to have democracy. That's why it's the First Amendment. And the Second Amendment is there to ensure that we have the First Amendment. President Trump must win to preserve the Constitution. He must win to preserve democracy in America.
That's how important his victory was. President Trump must win to preserve the Constitution, preserve democracy in America. That's the big picture and the success so far. I can understand his frustration over this Epstein character because we have been lied to about a lot of this. And I think it was a deep state operation. Oh, yes, I do. Now, I know that there's some MAGA disenchantment right now, and you look at the tweets from all over the place. Congress, Marjorie Taylor Greene's upset. A lot of folks are upset. But sometimes you can tell who's genuine and who's not. And a big one's coming up. Yeah, look at that. No. Put that back up. That's the Nikki Haley tweet, everybody. Nikki Haley, the ultimate swamp snake herself, Nikki Haley, wants the Epstein files revealed right away. She's going all ultra MAGA all of a sudden. This is performance art for these people. They think that they can out-MAGA President Trump. They don't know what they're talking about. This is what you need to know. That tweet reveals how phony so much of this is. She wants to see the Epstein files. She could care less, all right? And this is not about women and girls. It never has been with this Epstein stuff. It's about trying to trip up President Trump. Now, there are some allies who have concerns, and I have to correct them. I have to correct my friends. Benny Johnson has done some amazing work over the years, especially on the assassination attempt. Everybody likes Benny. He says something kind of important here about what this Epstein stuff is all about.
The most viral clips on the Epstein topic has come from this show because it's a winning topic, frankly.
Yeah, it's a winning topic. It is a hot topic, and people, right? It's popular. People are fascinated. But there's something else going on around here. A lot of misassumptions and people getting the facts wrong. Next, Benny had something to say and something to show us.
Donald Trump began his political career talking about Jeffrey Epstein. We'll just play it very quickly here. Like, bringing this into the public arena was President Trump. That's a matter of historic record. It's not up for debate. And Donald Trump, it was 10 years ago, a decade ago, on stage, before anybody ever heard of Prince Andrew or Bill Clinton and Epstein Island. No one knew about those things. And this is what Trump said at the time.
Pump up the volume, everybody. Pump up the volume.
Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein.
You raised the question of Jeffrey Epstein in your remarks about in the Q&A.
Well, I think he's got a problem. I mean,
what do you think the problem will be?
I don't know, but that island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew. He'll tell you about it. The island was an absolute cesspool. So
Nobody ever heard of Bill Clinton on a predator island before Donald Trump brought it up, or Prince Andrew.
Well, that's not true. 10 years ago, the story was almost 10 years old. Epstein was arrested all the way back in 2005, actually, and he was finally pled guilty in 2008. That's 7 years before President Trump showed up on that stage, and it received major coverage. New York Times, July 1st, 2008, and a lot of sordid details were in there. The bad news arrived by phone last week on Little St. James Island, the Palm Fringe Xanadu in the Caribbean, where Jeffrey Epstein, advisor to billionaires, lives in secluded splendor. Again, 2008. Report to the Palm Beach County Jail, the caller, Mr. Epstein's lawyer, said. The lurid details of the case have captivated wealthy circles in Palm Beach and New York and transformed Mr. Epstein, who shuns publicity and whose business depends on discretion, into a figure of public ridicule. 7 years before President Trump started seriously talking about President Trump, this was everywhere. I remember it. People don't remember. They don't know the difference between 2008 and 2015. And this is, again, 2008. It was national. It was local. It was all over the place.
Jeffrey Epstein went to jail just before 10 this morning. He pleaded guilty in open court. He agreed to serve a total of 18 months in the Palm Beach detention facility, 12 for felony solicitation of prostitutes, and an additional 6 for procuring persons under 18 for prostitution. The conviction stemmed from several incidents from August of 2004 to October of 2005. The prosecuting attorney would not say how many female victims there are. She would only say there was more than one adult victim and more than one underage victim.
Okay, it was in the media, and you heard about how far it went back. I got a couple other things to show you. This is The Guardian in 2011, all right? Just what is the fourth in line to the throne doing, meeting a convicted child sex pervert, even if he is a billionaire? They were talking about, the article was built around revealing picture of Prince Andrew strolling in New York Central Park with Jeffrey Epstein, 2011, 4 years before President Trump was asked about this stuff. Yeah, just what is the fourth in line? You see what I mean, right? And the idea, everybody, that President Trump staked his reputation on this is false. I got one more to show you. The Wall Street Journal. This goes back again to 2011. 58-year-old Jeffrey Epstein, a U.S. financier who in a Florida court in 2008 pleaded guilty to a felony charge of solicitation of prostitution involving a minor. All right? Next, please. Mr. Epstein, who admitted guilt as part of a plea deal with prosecutors, was released last summer after serving about 13 months in jail, and that was controversial. And this is back when, who was president in 2008, right? It was Bush. Who was president in 2011? It was Obama. President Trump never made this a focus of anything. In 2015, I was in the room when he declared for president. He didn't say one damn thing about Epstein. He talked about borders. He talked about not losing war. He talked about all kinds of things, not Epstein. When he ran for president successfully, again in 2022, not a word about Epstein. And it goes on like this. He never promised anybody anything about Epstein. The convention speeches, look them up. Watch every single one of them. He's done 3, more than basically. No. All right? You get this? You get the picture? Another thing, the State of the Union. He never made these promises. He doesn't care. He's not interested. Now, if somebody asked him a question, he said what he knew. And that's fair. And now he's telling us even more about what he knows and his frustrations, and I think it's totally legitimate. Put them up on the screen, please. These scams and hoaxes are all the Democrats are good at. It's all they have. They are no good at governing, no good at policy, and no good at picking winning candidates. Also, unlike Republicans, they stick together like glue. Their new scam is what we will forever call the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. And my past supporters have bought into this BS hook, line, and sinker. I have had more success in 6 months than perhaps any president in our country's history, and all these people want to talk about, with strong prodding by the fake news and the success-starved Dems, is the Jeffrey Epstein hoax. Now, oh, there's more. Okay, let these weaklings continue forward and do the Democrats' work. Don't even think about talking of our incredible and unprecedented success, because I don't want their support anymore. I understand the frustration. And here's another big component that everybody else seems to miss. When Jeffrey Epstein was arrested in 2019, they could have arrested him at any time since he got out of prison. Any time, but they waited until President Trump was president because they thought they could embarrass him this way. This is basically the week he was arrested. And watch how much they talk about President Trump.
Epstein has associated with powerful people, including former President Bill Clinton and Donald Trump when he was a private citizen.
In the past, he socialized with Prince Andrew and President Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. In a 2002 profile in New York Magazine, before any allegations surfaced, Trump called Epstein a, quote, terrific guy, adding, he's a lot of fun to be with.
Adding broader political intrigue to this case, Alex Acosta, who is now President Trump's Secretary of Labor, was then the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida who approved this original plea agreement.
Mr. President, do you have any concerns about the Labor Secretary's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein case?
I really don't know too much about it. I know he's done a great job as Labor Secretary and
praised Epstein back in the day.
You see what happened here? He was president, and they thought this was another thing. This was like the 10,000th thing they could come at him with, from Russia impeachment, the Zelensky phone call, all of this junk, right? And this was just another. And, well, it was Donald Trump's Department of Justice. It was run by that Rob Rosenstein guy. You couldn't trust those. You couldn't. It was the swamp.
He loves the Constitution. He fights for what's right. He hates the bad guys. He's a freedom warrior. He's your freedom warrior. Watch Carl Higbie every weekday on Newsmax.